There's a spot way back in the boondocks.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Canadian Country Music Podcast, sponsored by Hooligan Fuel Hot Sauce, where you can get the best tasting hot sauce for every occasion at hooliganfuel.com. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning into the live premiere. Please make sure to click the subscribe button and give us a good old thumbs up. If you are watching the premiere, make sure to click into the live chat button and chat with us now. Now, if you are listening on any major streaming podcast platform such as Spotify or Anchor, thank you so much for listening. I am your host, Tim Albertson, Canadian country artist and lover. On today's episode, we talk with a man who could just be the next name in Outlaw Country. Scott Owen, desire to entertain and contribute to a good time is the driving force behind an upbeat and energetic live show. If he is on a stage, it is because he is there for you. Growing up from a farm in Joyceville, shout out to Joyceville, by the way, because that is a small town, and I absolutely love small town people. He always enjoyed singing along with the songs like anyone else, but pick up that guitar at the tail end of high school. He turned the corner and began taking music more seriously after a few open mic nights at the Brass Pub, landing his Saturday night residency that he had there for 4+ years before the pandemic. Scott released his first self-titled EP in 2019, as well as follow-up singles, Flight Risk, Loud and Liquored, and I Never Wrote You a Song in 2020, all available through major streaming platforms. Canadian Country Music Podcast listeners, please give it up for your guest today, Mr. Scott Owen. Scott, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, my man.
Hey, man, I appreciate being here.
My pleasure, man. And I'll tell you why. Now, I met you through the Backwoods concert, where the winner got to open up for the Abrams in Brampton, Ontario. I placed third in the competition, but where did you place?
I managed to pull it out, I guess. Yeah, I won it.
Yeah, my man. How was that experience to be on the big stage in front of live people again after years, not to mention opening for the Abrams?
So the stage was unreal. The production team, the sound in that place was awesome. The terrible part was it wasn't a live audience. So it was actually live streamed, and there were like 2 people in the whole empty theater. So it was lessened a little bit by that. It would have been so much cooler had it been the actual event, because I guess normally for that Stomp and Stampede in Brampton, they have it in the square outside. The stage is set up, and people walking by can kind of happen upon it and tune in. But it was all live streamed. What's cool is you kind of have this video record of it that you can watch back now. But
true that.
Yeah. And it was awesome. Then I got to sit there and be like, I mean, I don't want to say pervro, but like I was up in that front seat in an empty theater while the Abrams are playing almost a private concert for me and Johnny Rivix. And
that is, you know what, to be honest with you, that might actually be like, it's right there, kind of.
It made up a little bit for no live crowd.
Now, because you didn't have a live crowd in this one, was there actually an opportunity to actually chat more with the Abrams, you feel, because they didn't really have that crowd that they had to kind of adhere to?
I think definitely. That's a great point now that you say that, because, I mean, you're not supposed to give away, I guess, the trade secrets, but because it was a live stream, they filmed my interview, like a 15-minute interview ahead of my performance, and then they played that while I tore down and the Abrams set up. And so I kind of got to talk to them on the stage just briefly there.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course, this is where Joyceville and the Abrams, it all kind of ties together here. So I drove by the Abrams farm on the way to the 401 to go to Kingston, you know, anytime I was going to Kingston growing up, because they grew up right around the corner for me. And they're younger. I think we had the conversation. John was going into grade 9 as I moved on to university. So we never actually went to high school together.
Wow.
So like we had to go all the way to Brampton to meet them.
Wow. That's
or
crazy.
To meet each other kind of deal.
Yeah.
And then the best part is the guy I took to be my fiddle player was James's middle school teacher. So he goes, we're watching, and all of a sudden in the middle of this, I'm going, hey, that's Mr. Dawson. It was nuts. And it, like, all of this, we had to go to Brampton to have that kind of sort of Joyceville Kingston reunion.
That is incredible. Similar experience when we went down to the sound check thing, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. But when we went down there, one of my good buddies from a band that I used to play in high school, AJ Astle, he now is one of the guys who runs Roadhouse Productions.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got to chit-chatting, and then Jeff Brown was also there because he was with Mackenzie as they were playing Mackenzie Mayer.
Yep.
Shout out to Mackenzie because she did an absolutely incredible performance that night. But anyways, Jeff Brown, who is now a member of Washboard Union, was there. And turns out that my bass player and Jeff Brown used to go to university together and study music together. So God. I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah. It's a small, I mean, it's a small world. It's a small, then you kind of narrow it in terms of the music industry. And I've actually done a piss poor job of networking. That's one thing that I'm kind of trying to work on now. I think a lot of it too was just when other people are playing gigs, it's when I'm playing gigs too. Yeah. So, getting out and seeing other people, even in Kingston, like getting out to see people playing, I don't get the opportunity too often unless I'm packing up, rushing from one gig and trying to catch somebody or you catch a piece before you go to your own gig. So it's only just now through some of these bigger events too. Because that's the other thing. Like when you're on that smaller, playing covers and originals in bars, like I keep probably busier than just like one-off shows that are bigger where you actually get some downtime and it's, you get to meet people like you and all of these cool artists that I did meet while I was just that one time in Brockville. Yeah. I met Deborah Lynn, and of course Josh Norad. He also, I think he bought 2 hats.
He did buy 2 hats. He bought this one and he bought the black one. I remember that because that's the reason why I got one, because he came up to me and he was like, dude, did you see these hats? I'm like, I need one. Shout out, by the way. Look at that. Look at that beauty. And then on the back, we got, is this your brand? Like, I see this on your truck too, right? Yeah. So I kind of created that secondary logo and somebody just recently asked me about it, and it's a horse. And for anybody listening and can't see that, and basically I grew up with standardbred racehorses. Okay. And so horses have been a part of my life. They're just these amazing animals. They're powerful. They're gorgeous. Like they're smart. So, and of course it definitely goes along with country music. So that was just where that logo kind of came from. It was just, I have it on my guitar strap. That's wicked. To be honest, I grew up in the country too, but I grew up in like bush country. So we did have horses around me. I've never ridden one. However, like every single time I'm around one, you can just feel it's like a whole other experience. Like it's like you're in the presence of like a majestic beast. And like you just look at it and it's other than like it's almost like an out of body experience when you're standing face to face with one. And it's just because of the like sheer, I don't even know the word for it. It would probably be, their presence or their, and the power that they have. Like they're so big and powerful. And I mean, it's funny. I grew up around them, so I'm fairly comfortable. And then like I've had, past girlfriends that come down to the farm and it just like, or just friends even, that are nervous around them because, you don't realize maybe that sometimes most times they're actually quite gentle too, though. Yeah. And on a farm, they're very used to people and whatnot. But fun fact for you is I've also never ridden one. So like ours are standardbred. So if there's anybody out there right now that's like got horses, preferably Clydesdales, I would love to ride a Budweiser horse. If we could do that, or a stallion, I'll take 2 of those. We got to get together and we'll do a photo op riding Clydesdales. Budweiser, if you're listening. But yeah, no, so ours, the cart attaches to a harness on them and you sit on the cart and you race behind them that way. So I've done that, but I've never ridden horseback, which just, you tell people you grew up with horses. It's weird. I was the exact same way. Hey, did you grow up around horses? Oh yeah, all the time. Did you ride one? No. What? What?
Yeah. Opportunity never presented itself.
Yeah, fair enough. Alrighty, Scott. So I know you're a farm boy. We just talked about it, and you're born and raised in the roots of country music. But for listeners and new fans listening today, can you give a bio of yourself? Like, where did music come from you?
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of my mom sang a little bit. She didn't really care to sing in front of people too often. So, it was more of a casual thing, but she enjoyed it and she had a good ear for music and she could sing. She was invited, I guess, over the years, she's done a bunch of weddings for friends and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
She said it gets weird when you start doing funerals for friends, or not necessarily friends, but relatives
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
as you get older. And that she always kind of did that. I always listened to, I mean, she usually had the country radio station on, but the other one they had on were the oldies. And and then you get some Guess Who in there and a bunch of other influences I got growing up. And it was just one of those things where I always sang along and I enjoyed singing. I'd get on the karaoke machine and do whatever. There's a weird thing that I would never have expected. I was at a buddy's house and we had our old yearbook out for some weird reason, and in it somehow I got voted most likely to be a singer.
Really?
And I wasn't singing at all back there, but I got to figure it's like one of those categories that was on there
Mm-hmm.
that nobody knew who to vote for, and like two or three of my friends that were there when I did karaoke were like, "Oh, well, it's Scott," and I got enough votes to beat everybody else out.
Won it by this much.
Yeah. So I mean, it was, grew up with country music for the most part, and two, not no high speed internet, and you didn't have the streaming abilities and all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I heard you say on one of your previous podcasts, the Columbia Music
Columbia
House,
House. Yeah.
the Columbia House subscription thing. Like I remember seeing those flyers all the time, and I wanted to do that so bad.
Oh, dude,
But,
I did it. I think I spent like $300 or $400 on like 800 CDs, and they kept calling. And I think eventually my mom literally told them that I was dead,
yeah,
and they stopped calling. So Columbia House, I apologize. Yeah, I'm still very much alive, and the interest on the amount that I owe you guys will bring you guys back.
And that was the thing, right? So it was like all this access, like I wanted access to all that music.
Mhm.
I wanted it, but you didn't have it the same way you do today.
Yeah.
So, it was mostly what my parents brought me up on. When I got to university and got high speed, and let's I don't want to date myself too much, but you're getting into LimeWire and FrostWire and
Oh yes.
what was the one when we were really young? Kazaa. I think that was one I had on dial-up. So it'd take you like 30 minutes to download a 3-4 minute song on dial-up, and so
what did it have? Like a picture of a bear or something?
I think it was just a K. It was like a green or yellow K with like a blue circle or something like that was the one. But I mean, there were so many of them back then that you could get, 100%. I think. Just kind of basically your file sharing programs and
the viruses that would come with them.
Oh God, just opening up your computer, just have at it.
Yeah, enjoy life.
But
can I please watch Spice World?
Legit though, that came up at the wedding that I was playing last night. I think Wannabe came on, and I was like, awesome. I think that was like grade 6 for me, and that song was huge.
Mm-hmm. That was incredible. When Spice World came out, like, yeah, even I had that moment where I was like, if you want to be my love.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, good times. Now you've often been compared with the likes of Eric Church and Jason Aldean, and there's definitely some similar qualities to your stage presence and the singles that I've heard. I've seen you on stage, and the energy you create from just an acoustic is absolutely unreal. What absolutely influenced you, or where did you sort of study this technique that you use on stage?
Wow. Well, I mean, first off, thanks. That's kind of, it's hard to put a finger on. I mean, I just love that kind of rockier side. So, I mean, kind of along those lines of influences to tie that last little bit to this. In university, I had a buddy that he was into Stained and a lot of alternative rock stuff, and he played the guitar and he sang. And at that point, I was only just playing the guitar. So I got playing with him, and we got playing that music. And I love all kinds of different music. Country's what I grew up on. It's what I feel the most.
Yeah.
I love the lyrics and the meanings to the songs and that. But, I kind of delved into that world a little bit with him, and then kind of came back to country when I got doing my own thing. And so I don't know, it's one of those weird things. I never expected to be singing. I never expected to be playing the guitar. Like the guitar was a way of interacting with music for me that was different than just singing along to songs. It was kind of like, oh, I get to delve into my favorite songs with the guitar. And I remember in university, I was at Steve's Music in Toronto, and I was buying a
shout out Steve's Music.
Sorry, I said Toronto. It's Ottawa. Anyways, they've got stores in both.
They're huge.
But I was at Ottawa U. Anyways, basically, I'm buying a 10-foot patch cable because I'm plugging into my amp right there in my dorm room.
Yep.
And the guy tries to upsell me. He says, "You sure you don't want, a 15 or 20-foot cable for an extra $5?" And he goes, "You never know if you'll be up on stage and you want the extra length." And I laughed at him because
when am I ever going to be on stage?
In what universe am I going to be playing guitar on stage?
Yeah.
And so it's such a weird progression how it all worked, because I then played and played guitar, and eventually I did start to kind of sing, because I sort of realized that if you didn't sing, people weren't going to sit there and watch you or care to listen to you play just guitar for very long. And
unless you are one of those types of people that change up like capos and stuff, and then all of a sudden you start finger tapping and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
If you can create music like that, then yes. But if you're doing rhythm or like,
if you're good at the guitar,
if
you're good at the guitar,
not me.
I was not. No,
not me.
No, I've never been the lead guy. I've learned to do some stuff here and there, and I think a lot of it's just I haven't worked on it enough, maybe. But I'm more of just play that rhythm guitar and sing. So I just shifted along the way eventually from kind of guitar player to kind of like you said at the beginning. I would consider myself now a singer far more than I consider myself a guitar player, and that also seems almost a little bit weird to me. But it kind of grew out of, even back then when I did sing a couple and I probably didn't sound so great and whatever, the enjoyment that some people still got out of it. I mean, you're singing for drunk people too, like on your patio, at university, whatever, and it's just people are around and you're all drinking and whatever. So you don't have to sing as well. Free bird.
Yeah.
But
free bird, everybody.
So it kind of started there, I think. If I really kind of look back and think about it, it was just cool that people enjoyed what you were doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then I was still like, it was still a long process from there, and getting to where I am now. I still sometimes don't, or have a hard time believing that the brass let me keep playing every Saturday night in the beginning, because I was probably shy and I was probably like not very animated. And you look back at some of these early recordings I have of me playing my own songs when I'd written them way back, and just kind of like this stone face performance, just concentrating so hard on what I'm doing.
Right.
And
don't screw up. Don't screw up.
Yeah.
Screw up. Damn it.
Yeah. Okay. Take 205.
Yeah. Oh man, it's only 9 o'clock. They're not drunk enough yet to know that.
Yeah. Oh, that the afternoon sober crowds can be some of the toughest crowds to play for.
Picky people.
So it kind of started back then, and then it was Eric Church came along and Jason Aldean, and I got really into that rockier side of country, because it kind of bridged my grew up on country, where my voice really sits the best, and all of that good stuff. and what I love about country, but then it kind of incorporated this rock side of me that I do like to rock out. It's just too much fun. And so it all kind of just came together. And as I kept performing and I got to that point, I never wanted to be that guy that, I mean, there's nothing against anybody that does it, but I I didn't want to be that guy at the campfire that overstays his welcome with the acoustic guitar. So there's, you can play a few songs or whatever, but when I was doing it as a hobby, and I had a friend group that had a vastly different taste in music, so you could never please everybody, and so it was really tough to sing some of the stuff that some people wanted and all of that stuff. So I went from
any Metallica, man. Yeah. We'll try.
Oddly enough, I can play Enter Sandman.
That a boy.
And sing it. The RMC students at the brass got me doing that.
Oh, there you go.
I teased them one night. I learned that I could play that intro to Enter Sandman and then smoothly transition into Aw Nah by Chris Young.
Ooh.
And because it was like the same chord progression and an idea, I just had to slow down the Enter Sandman a little bit, which was fine. But what happened was I played the intro and they got all jacked up and ready to go. Yeah. And then I went into the country song and they were like, okay, but no, we wanted Enter Sandman. And they just kept hounding me until one week I finally just said, screw it. I looked up the tab and I kind of read the lyrics off while I played it. And then every week it was Enter Sandman, Enter Sandman. And it became a thing. And now I can play it and it's a blast to play. And people they don't expect it, but it's just like, it's kind of neat and yet doesn't really fit into the normal set in most scenarios. So it doesn't come out too often.
That's really good. Like, I like when you're like, all of a sudden somebody throws something from you from left field, right? Like, those are the moments you will actually remember, even if you're hammered. I have had those times where somebody's like, oh man, I love the fact that you guys played Led Zeppelin tonight. And I'm like, I played 3 chords from his song and then I went into a different one, my boy. But thank you very much for that.
Chad Kroger at a Nickelback concert I was at played Friends in Those Places. And it was phenomenal. That was where I realized he was just like, he was a singer. So all rasp went into his voice. He had a twang, I would have swore he was a pro country singer, sang that song, and it was hilarious because they only played, I think, the first verse and chorus. Yeah. And then he comes on and he goes, oh my God, you guys. So we started that song and everybody's in here groaning like, oh, what are they doing playing this song? But he goes, by the time we got to the chorus, all you mother are singing along. And we're all nodding like, yeah, we were. I was singing along from the beginning.
Yeah, and it's mostly like the boyfriends are sitting there. Like the girlfriends are like, oh my God. We're here at a Nickelback concert. What are you doing singing Garth Brooks?
Yeah. So it was, and that was it. I didn't go to a lot of concerts, I wouldn't say young, but I started going and I got to see Eric Church in concert. And it was just such an awesome experience seeing the way he delivered things and the passion and stuff. And I mean, I don't know, it's always been in there somewhere because I can remember one of my buddies almost criticizing me, but in like a constructive way when I was first singing. Yeah. He was kind of like, pull back a little bit. I was over singing because I was getting too into it, right? And,
I hear you on that one.
Pushing too hard. So it's been in there all along somehow, some way. Something gets me going. I love interacting with my favorite songs that way. And then when you get to play your own songs, like, they come from those personal experiences that it's almost even more gets you going.
Yeah.
And then it's seeing other people get going to it. And it just all came together. And it was like, that's what it's all about. I only have fun if everybody else is having fun.
Yeah.
I
hear you 100%, Mike.
Yeah.
Same wavelength on that one.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any dream collabs that you would want to work with, or perhaps not just like singing, but maybe also writing as well?
Oh, it's always, like I said, I haven't networked too well in all of this stuff. And I'd love to say that I read all the liner notes to everything and knew all the band members to every band that I like. It's not a detail that I've ever focused on for whatever reason, and it's, if I know a songwriter on a song, usually it's because I found it in a different way. I didn't specifically go to look it up, and I realized, like, I should be doing that for sure. I should be knowing that. But it's kind of like what music's done. I get to meet so many awesome people through music that I would have never ever met. And it's kind of the same way with people that I have worked in the past. Every collaboration is awesome, and teaches you something, whether it's, somebody just starting and they're maybe not even as far as you are, or somebody that's that 2 steps ahead of you, or that kind of stuff. I would obviously, like, if I could do something with Eric Church or Jason Aldean, like, that would be a blast just to be around those guys. Cause
I'd go fishing. I don't even care. Like, they could drop me off at the next block.
This is where I lose some country cred. I don't have the patience for fishing. I never have. And it's probably because I just don't know how.
It's all right. We'll edit.
Like, I'm not good at it.
Good.
I'm not good at it. So it's just like, I've thrown out my lines and whatnot when I was young.
You're good at feeding the fish. My appreciation, my man. You're the one that's making them big for me.
Yeah. So it just kind of, it's one of those things, but same thing though. I would go fishing with one of those guys if they wanted to go fish, like just to hang out and pick their brains. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, when I go out fishing, like, yes, we go out fishing, but there's a lot of times when we're just relaxing and just chilling, shooting because you're not swearing, I'm not swearing on this podcast.
Well, so. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to toss out the F word there.
Yeah, fair enough. Right behind mother too. That would have been.
Yeah, exactly. and I knew also in that context, everyone knew exactly.
Yeah. Where you were going.
I want to say, like, I feel like I remember a comment my mom made way back when, like, something about where it was almost worse when that language was in a book that you were reading, because it meant that you had to read it in your own mind and say it with your own voice. She was like, I'd rather you hear it from a movie or somebody talking around you than read it for that reason. But,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Your mom's got some big knowledge, my man.
She's a thinker.
Darn right. All right, so let's chat music here. Now, Loud and Liquored is an absolutely incredible tune. I see it as an opening song for you. You hit them right off the hop with the song that gets their attention. But where did this single come from? Let's talk about the writing, the producing, the releasing. Let's strip it down from beginning to very end.
Sounds good. It was oh God. It's actually funny. Not too long ago, I was going back through, I think, trying to clean out my phone and stuff, and found some, like, early videos of me recording, like, okay, that opening riff, and just kind of, like, came up with that. And then I had this desire to write a song that was for the people at the brass and that live audience, and captured what we did on Saturday nights, because Saturday night went from, over that 4 years that I had that gig, we went from maybe trying to win over 75% of the crowd, because they weren't there for country on a Saturday night downtown Kingston, to being lined up down the street a block trying to get in, and people showing up wearing cowboy boots. Like, when I saw that the first time, I was like, yes, we're
doing something.
It became something. It became this awesome thing. And Saturday nights were just so good. And so I had come up with that guitar riff. I had the desire to write a song about the brass. And then the piece that kind of fell into place in the greatest way, because I kind of wrote it. I wrote the verse, then I got into the chorus, and I'm going, where am I going to go with this? What's going to be my hook? What's going to be my title? This is a challenging way to write a song.
It is.
And like, it's easier if you get that chorus, get your hook, and then you write to that chorus. Much easier. But this one just worked out. And the best part was I was picking up one of my, a girl that I was dating at the time. picked her up from a friend's, I don't know, as a family get together, something. And they were drinking, and I was the sober DD for them. And I picked them up, and they were having a blast, laughing away in the back of the truck. And she said, "Oh yeah, no, whenever you get my family together, we just get loud and liquored." And I immediately was just like, that's a song title. So
That's
this was
awesome.
and this was way back before writing this song. So it was just sitting there in my kind of, I got this huge note that's full of potential song titles. I don't get the chance to write nearly as often as I would like to. And so all of a sudden I just go, oh, this could work. And that title fell into place. It glued the whole song together, and we end up with Loud and Liquored. And it just, to me, is that it's so weird. Sometimes you're writing songs and you have a design or like a purpose in mind. So literally from the beginning, this song was designed to be a live performance song. So I left the bridge kind of, I on the recording, I record a couple of things that I say, come on, and whatever. But
yeah,
it's designed so that when you're live, there is no kind of prefab what you're gonna say. It's just all impromptu, talking to the crowd, getting people fired up. So if you're using it as an opener, you can kind of try and get people fired up for what's about to come. If you use it as a closer, you can thank them for coming out. This song's for you.
You put it in the middle, you can introduce your band. You can do it. Yeah.
It's a live music song. And that was kind of the whole design for it. And it came together so well. As far as production, I think, well, I definitely used, I have a program called Easy Drummer, and it has a whole bunch of MIDI loops of drums, and you can get different packs, you can get different things. And I've got Pro Tools. And so I came up with that guitar lick. At a certain point, I found the drums that fit with it, and kind of tweaked them and did whatever and put it together. And that's all I really had. And then I've worked with a studio. They're called Tune Designer. They're actually online. You can find them. And they're down in Georgia.
Wicked.
And basically you can send them an acoustic performance of a song. And then what they do is they come back to you, and you give them a reference track. You say, this is kind of the vibe I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And they come back.
What reference track did you give them?
For that one, I want to say it was a Cadillac 3 song.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether it was Party Like You. Maybe. But I'm sure it was a Cadillac 3 song. I'd have to look back. Ooh. But it was the vibe that I wanted with it. Yeah. And so that was it. He comes back, he gives me the notes. He's going, okay, this is what I like. If there's anything specific he's thinking, this is what I'm thinking, whatever. And then when you kind of say, yeah, that sounds good, they just produce it in a day. And like, they've got live drummer, live guitar, pedal steel, all the different issues. The only thing they don't have is a fiddle. And that's the only thing I'm like, oh, I really wanted the fiddle in my songs.
Yeah.
So that one hurt. But got lots of pedal steel all over it. So man. I was like, and John, who's the producer down there, he said that like he's a huge pedal steel fan. So he's like, anytime he's like, I'm always thinking pedal steel. Like, me too.
It needs more.
Yeah. So I sent it down to them. They come back with like the fully produced track, send it back to me. And then I'm able to record my vocals here in my kind of like basement studio.
Fair enough.
I've got a mic with one of those halo kind of filter things to just completely take the room out, because they then have free reign to add whatever reverb or whatever, and they mix it down after I send it back to them. They add backing vocals, and then you got the final track. And I think they're still at $550 US and it's work for hire, no rights retained, nothing. So it was just such an economical. When I found them as a solution, like I had for years had my EP. I had
Alright.
four or five songs, and I, planned to produce them myself. And it just, after years of just trial and error and trying to like come up with the parts and come up with the whatever,
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, I'm still not going to get the same sound that they're getting. Yes, would it be awesome to say I played that guitar on my own song? Great, yes. But he probably played it better than I did. And I send it down to them and it comes back. And my time and the economics behind it all. So, I mean, side note there.
100% on there. Yeah. Like it's one, even that aspect, like I can sit there and I can like play with Pro Tools and I can get it to that aspect, but there's a lot of different channels and programs inside of Pro Tools that might as well be written in Sanskrit for me. So like to have somebody else that knows that language, clicks a few buttons, all of a sudden magic happens, and all it does is pay a little bit out of my pocket. Sure, absolutely. Here you go, have fun with that. Now I'll just sit here patiently waiting.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I mean, I know enough to be able to record my vocals. I mean, I think a lot of people that work with them will go to a local studio to do their vocals, which, would be extra cost on top of it, but might have been a better process. I mean, there are times I've learned to get pickier with it, and I've learned a new vocal recording method to kind of try and get better recorded vocals, because I feel like I have a hard time, or have had a hard time, getting my vocals in the studio right. It's like live it's and I've had people be like, man, you're better live than your recordings, and I'm like, at least it's that way.
Fair enough. Yeah. But there are a lot of artists that's the exact same opposite way. So yeah.
So that was it. I cut my teeth at the bar and I did a lot of the live performing, and that's where it feels comfortable. And then you get me in the studio and all of a sudden you hit that record button. It's just like, oh, like, wait, I don't have my guitar in my hand and playing it at the same time. Like, you don't get into it the same way, I find.
Yeah, and at the same time, like, you're not supposed to be getting into it right now. You got to stand still in front of that microphone and try and sing it. And you're like, but this song has so much energy and so much passion that if I'm not moving right now, I don't feel genuine about it.
Exactly. So then, I mean,
I've been told that many, many times too. They're like, dude, you did good, but you moved like an inch away.
You moved away. Yeah.
And I'm like, what does an inch do? And he's like, come here for a second. And he shows me, and it's like, you went from having really good to all of a sudden you've got an echo, and now we're in a big ass room. So yeah. Like, fair enough. That this is why I paid you. I apologize. I will do what you said. I'm sorry.
And that's the part that I'm missing recording at home, is I don't have that kind of other perspective that can push me on things. Like, you know what, that take isn't quite. I mean, what my process was on my first songs, it was, I'd record it 8 times back to back, and then just go through and go, okay, I tried to pick the biggest chunks possible so that it was as natural as possible, but I'm going, okay, I sang it best on this take. And I mean, sometimes you get all 8 takes and going like, oh my God, there's no difference between them. It's pretty well the same. And it became this painstaking process that was very tiring. And I think my early songs were the hardest ones. I think Loud and Liquored was one that I was very happy with my performance on. But I found, I believe his name is Chris Leap, through Graham Cochran, who runs the Recording Revolution.
Okay,
so Graham Cochran runs the Recording Revolution, and that's where I learned kind of Pro Tools. He teaches mixing and a bunch of stuff. He's got a lot of free videos on YouTube. I think I bought some, crash course at home mixing courses way back in the day. So through him, I got introduced to this Chris, who $50 course on recording home vocals. And it's this process where that age-old thought process that you've got to do it in one take and nail it doesn't exist anymore. With digital, with the way it goes, like, And he said, that's also just such a mental barrier to recording. How
Yeah.
much pressure are you putting on yourself to get it all in one take?
Yeah.
He goes, no. And he says, especially if you're recording yourself at home,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
you know, it's almost a line by line, like he said, chunk out the song, and it's go through it and say, hey, like, I think I can do this section perfectly fine, just all in one take. Do it, listen
Yeah.
back. If you like it, if it's perfect, great. If there's a part that you didn't like, redo it. And like,
Mhm.
you get that chance to analyze very specifically, like, oh, maybe if I take the melody up just like here, or
Yeah.
I'm a little off here. And he just said, like, give yourself permission to
Mhm.
not do it all in one take. That it's not going to be in that, using that process, you can get the perfect take. And sometimes he said, don't let perfect get in the way of a great thing. So he said,
Yeah.
sometimes, because there's a section he'll record, and he says, maybe I was slightly off pitch, like just a wave or something, like here, like your waver. So
Yeah.
he said, I delivered it with such a great emotion
Yeah.
that trumps being on pitch, and I need to keep that take. And so right now, that's the process. That I've got 2 songs that I'm trying to get recorded now. I'm having issues with time syncing up in my recordings thing that are causing me some very big frustrations.
Only
That's
as
where
good as technology allows us, eh? Right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh,
So
I know.
I'm kind of having that happen, but I am finding that process is far better for me, and it's allowing me. I
Mhm.
mean, like, it's things people wouldn't notice, like flight risk. I was so excited for that song that I kind of rushed it.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out so bad that I kind of rushed it. And it's just small things like where I took my breaths and how I delivered certain lines. It's not a bad recording.
No.
And I've gotten a ton of good feedback on it, but it's not the recording that I wish was out there. And
Yeah.
so live I get to deliver it how I figured it out now. But at
Yeah.
the time I rushed it, and I didn't step back and say, okay, let's try this line by taking my breaths here.
Mhm. Mhm. No, 100%. And I've done the same thing where I've gone into, because like growing up here, beautiful Thunder Bay, Ontario, we have a couple of studios now, but growing up there was like 1 or 2, and to be honest with you, their quality wasn't on par with what radio does. So
Yeah.
the way that I perceived it was I went out and I paid for the masters, had the guy just record my vocals and have somebody else master my vocals with the track, bing, bam, boom, songs out. Now that I'm starting to like, I wanted to do that because I wanted to like kind of make my name out there. So like if I had the quality out there and it could hit a radio station, maybe it would be able to sit beside Brett Kissel or Gord Bamford and all those fun jazz people. But yeah, so I can completely understand. So when I went into the studios and started doing my own songs, now it was the same kind of concept where it was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's take multiple takes, and then you sang this part really, really good here. You sang this part really, really good here. You sang this part really good here. And we need to redo this whole section here because we didn't quite hit it. And yeah, it is. I apologize to fans, but when you're listening to a recording, there's a very good chance that there's probably 20 takes in that one recording. And only the person who chopped it up and the person who sang it will know. And actually,
But
sometimes the singer doesn't even know that that's happening.
true, but I'd almost want to flip that, and instead of apologizing to fans, it's almost like you're welcome, because there
Yeah.
isn't this horrible little
True that.
off key note or whatever. You get a full listening experience. And I never thought of it that way until right now. When you said that, I'm going, oh yeah, like, and that's the thing. This whole recording process, performing process. I mean, most people don't know how much goes into it all.
Mhm.
So much is kept behind the curtains, but it's also just, it's the way that it's done. And I don't know, it comes with that certain level of guilt that you go into it, you think that it's done one way,
Yeah.
and then you get in there and you're like, I don't want to be fake, I don't want to
Yeah.
record best takes that I couldn't perform live.
Mhm.
Except that, like, sometimes there's lots of bands. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
When people are listening on an album, like you want that perfect take.
It's
and
the status
live's
quo.
live's a little more forgiving.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's just like learning cover songs. Like if I get my recording perfect, well then I just practice to that. And that's how I learn to sing it live.
Yeah.
Right? So
I
it's
agree
just
with
a
that 100%.
whole process that so much goes into it. And again, I'm not a singer in terms of like natural ability where it just comes easy. I've had to work my ass off to kind of be able, and even learning songs now, there's parts that I won't hit the melody right when I first start singing it. I'm going, oh God. Like I work and I work and I work until I get it right. Even writing songs, it feels like I'm off sometimes when I'm singing or playing something. But then the more I play it, the more practice, my ear adjusts me, and you kind of find that right spot. But I mean, I feel like singing comes easier to some, but I would say that anybody can learn how to sing because I did.
You know what? First off, I'm going to say right now that your hard work is paying off dividends.
Thank you.
And second off, I also agree that anybody can sing, because and this is my reasoning, is that there's a genre for everybody out there. So I can sing really good country music. I can't sing heavy metal. I can sing rock music. I can't sing K-pop. I can't rap to save my life. But like, there's, even if you don't think that you have a melody in your voice, there is probably a genre where you can sing it probably pretty well.
Yeah.
There's
a guy, actually one thing that really helped me turn the corner in my singing was I found a guy online. His name's Ken Tamplin. And on YouTube, he gives a lot of free advice. And one of the things that, basically changed my singing was he talked about like knowing where to sing from, the back of your throat. And he has this saying, he's like, it's the la, ah, and it's that ah, like when you feel that in the back of your throat, he's like, that's where you want to sing from. That's where you're going to get the power from, where you're not going to tire out your voice the same way. And so he really helped with that. And he said, I think it's there's 1% of the population that's actually tone deaf and can't learn how to sing. Everybody else can.
That is something new right then and there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting it from him.
Hey, I'll take it. He's on YouTube. It's got to be right.
Yeah. I can't remember. I want to say he sang, I think he said it's for Shout. I don't know if but if you heard him sing, he's like 80s hair metal, like that crazy high, awesome power.
I can't even hit it. Like, I'm going to cut that part out.
Yeah. But again, too, he's teaching singing and he can sing like that.
Yeah.
And that's one thing he always says too. He's just like, when you, if you're getting singing lessons from someone, ask for references, ask to hear their students sing, because the proof is in the singing. And he goes, if their students can't sing,
chances are they can't teach.
Chances are they're not teaching them very well.
Yeah.
He said if their students can all sing, then so it was really neat. I mean, somebody asked me that, I think it was at the wedding last night that I played afterwards, and we're hanging out talking, and I've actually never taken vocal lessons, and I don't know why. It's probably something I should do.
I can honestly tell you, as a guy that did the same kind of concept where I had the vocal range and I had what I thought was really, really good vocal tone at the time, I was also very young at the time. So I had the chance to go in with a singing teacher, and when I was younger, I was like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, do I really need singing lessons? And then I heard her sing, and I was like, yes, madame, you could take me. Please teach me your ways, and I am
your clay. Mold me.
100%. Be my Yoda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah,
There's the
gonna
cut.
happen eventually. It's Zoom. What can you say? Oh, crud. Okay, so now we've met in person at Soundcheck Entertainment's 10-year extravaganza, where you were a part of the acoustic stage on Saturday. And I honestly remember walking towards the stage and just feeling your music from literally 300 yards away at my tent. And I turn the corner and look at you on stage, and you're by yourself.
Yes.
Yet, if you close your eyes, you swear you have a full backup behind you. Can you talk about your live stage performance? Like, where did you get that kind of motivation to be able to have that in your back pocket?
Yep. Honestly, I think it all kind of comes back to that trying to entertain people and doing it for people. So, once I got my chops up playing acoustically for people, and that was working well, it was kind of like, well, how can I up my game? How can I make this better? And I mean, I started researching. God, I found a guy down in the States that makes tailor-made drum kits that you literally play with your feet. So it had like a pedal that you pushed on, and it had a kick drum that sat out in front. And then there was another one that you hit, and there was a snare mechanism in it. And there was literally and I looked at it. It was $1,800 US. And I thought the learning curve to doing that, playing the drums with your feet while you played guitar, while you sang, like, not a chance. But
that's a lot on your mind, my man.
Yeah. While looking into that, I found this. It's called the Singular Sound Beat Buddy. And it's like I think it was 450 Canadian pedal. And it uses MIDI. So you program the drums MIDI. I actually found a way, like, you could, I loaded bass samples into it, so I get the drums and the bass through that pedal. Ooh. And I find, most of the times I find MIDI songs online. Like, I've got a membership to a couple of, I got a membership to Supreme MIDI. There's a website called MIDI Hits, and $5 a song there, like $8 a song. Yeah. You download it, then I put it into Pro Tools, I chop it up, and I put it into the format for the pedal. And then I get backing tracks with more flexibility, because I have to push on the pedal and make it go from verse to chorus, chorus to verse, verse to bridge, bridge to solo, all the different parts, turnarounds, intros. Like, you can you got the flexibility to program it how you want. When I added the bass, it becomes slightly less flexible, because when that bass note's off with your guitar,
you're
in trouble. Like, if the beat keeps going, you're fine. But the bass also adds the bass. So it was worth that trade-off. But say I miss miss my cue. Say I'm not quite ready to start a song. Well, that verse just loops one more time.
Oh, okay.
Until I push on the pedal and make it go forward. And I think I probably started at a certain point using backing tracks a little bit. And then I found it so frustrating that if you weren't bang on, or if you forgot a part, or you went ahead, or you whatever, you couldn't improvise on the spot. So that's where I found the Beat Buddy. I think I probably had the vocal harmonizer first. It's hard to remember. It slowly just built. I think it was probably the vocal harmonizer first, because that just helped me, again, differentiate sections of the song. So now all of a sudden my chorus has that little something extra that brings it up from the verse. And you hear vocal harmonies in so many recordings and all those songs, right? So
I am really happy that you're saying this right now, and that I did not imagine you having harmonies on your track. Because I was sitting there chatting with my guys, and I'm like, I could swear there's somebody else singing with this guy right now. Okay. That makes sense.
There's a pedal I found. Now, unfortunately, they don't even make it anymore. And I mean, I researched it all. It's the best one. It's the best one that I found, because you put your guitar in through, it reads the chords you're playing and your voice to pick the right harmony. So most harmony pedals I've experienced sound a little robotic and a little bit. And I mean, you can tweak settings and you can get them okay, but this one just sounded the most natural. And I got to push on a button to engage it, but
Yeah.
it's thickened up my sound. It gives me that support vocally, so I've definitely enjoyed it.
Oh, that's
And
wicked.
so I added that first, I think. So that gave me that little something, and then I thought, so many people, musicians, we can feel a beat in just an acoustic guitar playing or in a song. Like you feel that music in a different way.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of the population or the crowd that needs that drum beat to kind of really follow along.
Yeah.
I had a song, Home for a Rest by Spirit of the West, and at a certain point I wasn't allowed to play that too late at the brass because it got people too fired up and like glasses broke and stuff like that, because it just like it was this driving four on the floor and people would pound on the tables, and it was
it's wicked.
And the manager kept saying like, I hate that song. And I thought it was just a personal thing. He didn't like the song. I'm like, well, the crowd loves it, so I'm going to play it. I'm sorry, dude. You're going to have to hear it on a Saturday night. And then one night I played it right before my break, and he goes, that's why I hate that song. People get too out of control. And what I learned was, if I played the song, A, before midnight, B, without the drum beat, it didn't get as rowdy. Now, and so that was that's years after using the drum pedal, and that's like basically
we're getting into like psychology of music here right now. I hope you understand that.
Oh, it froze a little bit. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, no, and that was it. It was that was almost like my proof of concept, where it was just like give people that beat. And I mean, how many memes do you see where it talks about the bass and the drums, like your rhythm section is what people move to, so that was just something I thought, if I could add that, great. And so now all of a sudden, I mean, it was only just, I think, last summer, so you didn't get to see it because I wasn't prepared, but I didn't have my full
fair enough. You weren't even supposed to be playing that show, actually, now that I think about that.
I didn't have my full setup. I was literally coming up to just attend the event, but Hendrik had been on Johnny's competition thing.
Yeah.
And so one of the music vendors didn't have the right members to be able to play the acoustic stage. So he goes, do you want to bring your guitar and you can play on the acoustic stage?
Yeah.
Great, sure. Like, I mean, why not? I'm coming up anyways. And then I think it was even before I started, he goes, well, one of our guys that was supposed to play the main stage called in sick or whatever. He goes, do you want to play a 45-minute set on the main stage? I'm going, oh my God, like, sure, why not? But I and shout out to my mom. Her and dad had come up to see me play the acoustic set because it's like 40 minutes. Actually, it's probably even closer for them from Joyceville to me now in Kingston. But she drove to my house back in Kingston and grabbed just a couple of extra things I needed. And I didn't want to be like, could you also grab the electric guitar? Could you grab like this, the extra pedal board?
Everything, please.
Yeah. Grab the extra pedal board, grab the extra whatever. It was just like, no, but I could really use this and this. And she grabbed it for me.
Shout out, Mom. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents support me like you wouldn't believe. They've been awesome.
I know.
And so, and so basically last summer I added being able to play the electric guitar in that whole setup to even beef things up even more. And I mean, certain songs, it really.
So what's next? Like fire rings, motorcycle jumps, skydiving into your set?
Maybe I'll start small with like a fog machine or something.
I went way too high, way too quick.
No, what's really, I joke about that because I think actually I added lights at one point. I have these like little, I think it's American DJ lights that have a little mic in them. Yeah. They pick up the beat, and so they change on the beat.
Oh, okay, right on. Yeah.
And so I brought those into the brass one night, and I think one of the managers said that he made that joke. He goes, if you bring in a fog machine, like, you're done.
Now you're cutting into production costs, sir, and now your price just like tripled. So
yeah. So it was just one of those things. But yeah, I mean, I think next it's finding band members and actually getting to play in the band. Like for a semester, I had a buddy of mine play lead guitar for me at the brass, and he was just phenomenal. But he's from Carleton Place, and he moved home after college, and he's got a band back home with buddies he grew up with. And it just it's hard to organize myself sometimes.
No, I hear you on that.
Think of like finding time for band practice and that kind of stuff. And it's learning how to charge properly to be able to pay everybody and do all that fun stuff.
Yeah, because once you get into that, now it's a full-on business that you have to consider. You have to put into that, and at the same time, like, okay, now are they going to be a backing band, or do all of a sudden you guys collaborate together, and now it's Scott, Owen, and blah 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 band behind you, and okay, now they're an entity together, and like the wheels can just keep going and going and going. It's a lot to think about when you're doing that. But anybody in Kingston right now who happens to have a guitar and knows anything about music and can do a pretty good tune, I mean, like, I'm going to be honest with you guys, you probably aren't going to get the limelight with Scott. Scott's probably going to take it from everybody because just the energy that he has. But I mean, if you guys want to play some music and have a great time, there's a gentleman that is looking right now for a band. So give him a shout. Scott's number is
8675309.
Oh man, do you know that if you actually call that number, Jenny comes on? Like, it's
on.
100%. One sec. My phone's using the camera. If you have your phone right now, do it up. But it's legit.
I've heard that you could actually call it, but
it's legit. It's like, Jenny, I got your number.
Amazing.
Yeah. If you're listening to the podcast right now, click the pause button. Call up your phone, 867-5309, because you need to do this at least once in your lifetime, and find out that this song actually plays, and then come right back to us. We'll be right here. All right. So, so Scott, we started a new series on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And I say a couple of weeks because we've taken a couple of weeks off. And basically it's called Suspended in Time. And the reason I called it that is because I used to have a band that was more of a solo project, but I wanted a band name for it. So I called myself Suspended in Time. So basically I take a picture from your Instagram, and this is strictly for my YouTube audience because obviously my podcast group cannot see this picture. But you have to basically explain what's going on in this picture. So I'm going to post it up right now, and I need you, sir, to explain just what in the heck you got yourself into in this one.
Okay. Well, I'm actually, So this was a Halloween costume at work.
You did not get your butt whooped in a hockey game.
So this was me. I bought the Doug Glatt jersey off of gongshowhockey.com.
Yes.
And this was me going as Doug Glatt. I even the helmet's on, but I buzzed my head for this.
Like, wow, I went full into it.
I went full out.
Your commitment.
And if you pay attention to the eyes, and I no longer work for this employer, so it's not a big deal. But our bar in Kingston called the Ale House.
Yeah.
Is they used to have a Tuesday night. It was called Tumbleweed Tuesdays, and it was a country night.
Oh god.
And my God, was it a party. And their DJ played great tunes, like mixed in the throwbacks to the 90s country, but then also had like the modern stuff going on. It was a blast. And we might have had a stretch of about 3 or 4 weeks where we went every Tuesday. One of them was the night before Halloween. So we're out until like after 2 a.m. Like, we closed down the bar. I am so hungover in this photo, it isn't funny. And I had to wake up and I had to do my makeup to get like the bruise going and the cuts and whatnot. And I remember looking in the mirror, like my eyes are blurry, and I'm trying to do this makeup, and I'm trying to like get myself ready for work. And I'm going like, this is the most ridiculous thing ever.
My goodness. Like, okay, so now that it looks like he got the crap kicked out of you. So technically he still did.
And that's it. Like I feel like it helped me embody that look even better because I was not feeling
Oh my goodness.
100% that day.
That is gorgeous. Oh
Yeah, but commitment to it.
yeah, bravo, sir. That is 100%. I was gonna ask, did you knock the tooth out too?
No, there was this stuff that I bought at a Halloween store that like wrapped around your tooth.
Oh, this one made it look like it was gone.
Makes it look like a blackout tooth. And
Yeah,
oh my God, like my favorite, hands down, my favorite Halloween costume I've ever done. I think I might have tried to do it a second time, but I can't remember. I don't think so because I didn't want to try and reproduce the makeup.
Yeah, did that take you a while?
Maybe like half.
I mean,
an hour.
maybe if you're
maybe
like
less than that.
Face, yeah, like
yeah, I was rushing because of course trying to wake up after being like I probably had 3-4 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
wake up, try and do that before you
definitely
go into work.
Not still possibly drunk. Oh my goodness. I am so happy I found that picture.
I'm so glad you picked that one.
Well, when like you scroll through your Instagram, that one picks up like a sore thumb. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's too funny.
Now, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, and anybody that is listening to the podcast and wants to see the picture, you just go to Instagram at Scott Owen Music. Shameless plug.
That a boy. I was waiting for at least one.
I never do that. I hate the self-promotion side of things.
Oh man, if you don't self-promote yourself, who's going to?
And that's the damn truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at kind of getting out of my comfort zone and going for it a little bit.
That's all right, man, because if you don't want to promote yourself, I'm going to promote the shit out of you for you. And like there are people that have walked up to me in this town of Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is, I don't even know how long from Kingston, but I'm assuming it's probably in the 14 to 15 hour range.
Oh my God.
Literally people are walking up to me and they're like, Scott. And I'm like, what? And I look up and I'm like, nah, man, Kim, but I'll take it. Thanks.
And it's so funny because like the hat started because I've been a hat guy my entire life. And it was almost one of those, wait, I can design my own hats and then maybe people will buy them from me. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it worked, but I wear all of my own hats. And sometimes that's where I feel like, you know, that awkward, it's just like wearing your own merch.
Yeah.
And yet, why is that a problem? And yet it is kind of one of those like, not sure you can do that.
It only becomes a problem if you start going into your merch more and more and more. So like if you have like 6 or 7 hats at your house right now at your disposal that all have your name on them and they have like multiple camouflage ones that you have, but because you've outworn them, they're starting to get like that damage. If you start dabbing into the money that you put into them, then okay, maybe we need to step back. But if you've got like one hat, one shirt, one sweater, that kind of stuff, I see that being absolutely no problem.
That's a good point. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, I'd be buying hats to wear anyways.
True.
And I'm getting these at cost. So I'm technically saving money.
Oh, Trump.
This is so the fun fact that most people never guess from me on the music side, I'm actually a chartered professional accountant. And your eyes tell exactly the story of what everybody reacts like.
All right. So I apologize. We're going to start this podcast all over again because I have so many accounting questions.
Yeah. So
can you take care of my portfolio? What's an RRSP? What is GST? Why are we paying so much?
Oh God, we don't have enough time.
No.
But basically, it really helps me, obviously, on the business side. Like I approach this as a job. I have from the beginning. It's an entrepreneurial endeavor, and that I think has also been something that kind of separates me from some people that get into music, right? Where it's, it's branding. It's all of these things that I've had a focus on from the very beginning. And I think I've only gotten kind of as far as I have because of that. I mean, shoot, at one point I was giving out fridge magnets at the brass when I first started playing. It was that stemmed from
Everybody needs a fridge magnet, man.
well, I wanted a fridge magnet to hang a couple things, and I couldn't find one in stores anywhere for some reason. I mean, I was probably just stupid and not in the right spot, but I couldn't find them. And I go, well, shoot, like how awesome is that? You give something somebody it's got a utility, like it's useful. Everybody's got a fridge, or I mean, first world problems. I don't that felt bad all of a sudden. I go, oh God, what did I just say? No, but I mean,
oh man, now I gotta get Sarah McLaughlin in here. This podcast needs another sponsorship.
Most people have a fridge at home, and it's like, okay, if it makes it home with them, because you're also talking drunk students.
Yeah,
when I was playing back then, right? If it makes it home with them.
If it ends up on a street lamp, that works too.
It doesn't go through the wash or anything like that. So it was great. Like I had buddies that worked at the brass, doorman and stuff like that. And they send me a message. I'm at a house party right now, and they got your magnet on your fridge. And I'm going, yes, it works at least once.
That's wicked.
And that was it. It just anybody that I noticed visibly vibing out to what I was doing, I would try on my break. I would try after to kind of go over and say, like, I noticed you guys were having a good time. I appreciate you coming out. Here's some fridge magnets. And it kind of almost became this cool little thing where like some people come up and they'd be like, can I get one of those fridge magnets?
Yeah, man, you got one of those fridge magnets? No, I see the hats. The hats are really nice, but man, that fridge magnet. I got like a schedule from work now that I need to hang up.
Yeah. So it just, and that's where like the hats, I have one of each one, but you're right. Like sometimes I've worn one out, and if it's one that just, I blame this on my mom. My mom, when I was a kid,
we just gave her praise. You can't start blaming things on her.
Somebody told me she used to like dress us up pretty like to the nines when we were kids, like matching stuff and color coordination and all that. And something must have stuck somewhere back in my head because I coordinate my hats with my shirt color or whatever. And it's just like it's almost like a problem.
I do it too now. Now that I have this hat, I had to throw out like 3/4 of my wardrobe. I've only got like 6 shirts now that this works with. So thank you for letting me clean out my closet. Much appreciated.
It needs to be done sometimes.
It does. It's really
so that's it. I have one of each of the hats and I wear them. And then it was just like, and then people bought them. And then it was cool. Like you got to the point you had, I had a couple RMC students ask me to sign them. And one of the guys asked me to sign and put the year on it. And then he came back and bought a hat the next year and had me sign it, 18 instead of 17. And it was almost like collecting years of memories at school. And
hoping that one day you're going to get that Juno and be like, sign that Juno for me.
And it's so,
which is coming, by the way, I have a feeling.
It's so surreal when that stuff happens because it's hard to shake that, what do they call it? The imposter syndrome, right? It's just like, I've had so many people recently, friends, people that have hired me, and they're just like, oh my God, like you could charge so much more, or you should be charging so much more, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
But at the same time I'm trying to transition. So the job I took 2 years ago, I'm 30 hours a week. I'm the financial controller for a business here in Kingston. And basically I don't work Mondays. My Fridays are short because I go to the Creekside to play on the Friday night.
Yep.
And it balances the fact that the music's grown to what it has. And of course, I took that job right before the pandemic hit, and boom, there's 40% of your income out the window.
Yeah, right.
But I was lucky to have, still the 60% when a lot of people didn't even have that. So
true that.
Can't complain that way. And then like I said, the accounting knowledge and the treating it as a business and all of that stuff kind of helps me on the business side of the music. I mean, I think it was, I want to say it was Susie Corey that you were talking to about like how, people don't realize like there's no team.
No.
It's us, and we are doing all, like, we've got different hats, and it's the social media coordinator hat, and it's the doing your taxes hat.
You are your radio tracker, you are your promotion manager, you are your marketing manager, you are your producer, director, social media handler. You also have to book your own shows. You also have to book your own tours. You have to book your own gigs, and therefore you also have to book your own studio time and your own rehearsal spaces. And all those people need to get paid, so you have to make sure they get all set up. Not to mention, if this is your show, okay, well, now we have to pay rent for the venue. We also have to pay for the lights and the production. If you're having an open bar, well, then we got to make sure we've got people there for that kind of stuff. Maybe open bar is the wrong thing, but if you have a bar open, then
gotcha.
Look, if you have an open bar, like your show is gonna be.
That was a great save. It's gonna be packed.
Yeah,
and people are really gonna enjoy themselves.
Maybe.
Wait, did we just stumble on like a great concept for a concert?
I'm cutting that out because nobody's taking this. We can do it together, but nobody else gets this idea. I have another idea too. I'll show you later. It involves a bunch of haystacks. But yeah, okay. So now let's get into a little bit more like a deep feel. So let's peel back Scott for a second.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Here we go.
So now we all have those moments when we look back in our lives and wonder, if I did this or didn't do that, what would happen, or the kind of what if moments. So if Scott Owen could have a chat with the younger version of himself, at what age would you want to go back to, and what would you tell yourself?
My God. It's funny. I think a lot of me would want to go back and tell myself, I mean, I don't know how old I was, but it was pretty young. My mom had an old guitar. Now I think I found out years later it was either cracked or it had a problem with it and it wasn't actually playable. I thought she wouldn't let us play it because we were kids.
Yeah.
And I think I'd want to go back and kind of tell myself to push more on that desire to play the guitar to the point that maybe I started at 7 or whatever. Now I say that, and the flip side of that coin, right, is would I have developed the same way that I did? Would I be where I am today? Would I maybe have burnt out on it? Yeah. Would I have,
or
would I have stuck with it?
Yeah.
Or stuck with it? Or yes, exactly, like had different influences. There's so much that's almost like maybe it worked the way that it was supposed to. Now, I do think that it would have been, my singing would have been further because I would have started the singing a lot earlier. But
now personal question, did you start before or after your voice dropped? That's what I call it.
Well, that's where I think that I sang better before my voice dropped. So that's I would sing along to things, and you want to get deep and personal. Like
you can go. I've got a story, so if you think that you're going to embarrass yourself, I don't think you will. So
no, but I remember at a birthday party with a karaoke machine singing like "I Will Always Love You" by Dolly Parton, and just belting it out, and that was before the voice drop, so it was like I could match her pitch almost like perfectly, and then it's like all of a sudden you're going, I can't hit that now.
No,
this is I gotta drop that down 5 steps.
Mine was "My Heart Will Go On" by Celine Dion.
Nice. I heard that on one of the early podcasts. That's awesome.
And the same thing. My voice didn't drop yet, so I sounded like Celine Dion. And don't even ask me if I can hit even one chord or one note in that song now. Yeah,
and that's it, right? So it's just so part of me looks back and says, you know what? Maybe it wasn't a
We have a
You gotta
special
love
guest today.
special guest popping in, the cat. But yeah, it just like it's one of those things where maybe things wouldn't have turned out the way they did because I, started so much later. So hey, it's tough, but I I didn't start trying to learn the guitar because I thought I was too old at a certain point. Like I still had that desire and I thought I'm too old to learn the guitar. And my brother he had taken some lessons up at our public school, but it was like Mary Had a Little Lamb and a bunch of stuff he wasn't interested in learning. So he kind of gave it up a little bit. And eventually I think it was grade 11, might have been grade 12. My buddy takes guitar as a bird course. And he starts showing me these things that he can play. And I'm going, wait, he can learn at this age? Like, if he can learn that, I can still learn that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I basically got my brother to tell me how to read a tab, what the numbers meant, and whatnot. And
can you teach me that?
So he still had a guitar laying around, and it was right at about the time where you had what was that program? Oh my god, there was a program where you could literally download tabs that played in MIDI.
Yeah, Chordify.
It was something like it's like that, but
Yeah.
it was like a real old, like, I mean, it was when tabs started being available on the internet.
Oh, okay.
Like that's how old it is. It's just like it's back. And so I just started looking at tabs, learning songs that I wanted to learn and figuring them out, figuring out concepts like, wait, like how do I get that palm mute technique?
Mhm.
Like, and I kind of just picked it up, and it was so funny because it kind of reinvigorated my brother. He all of a sudden was like, wait, I can learn what I want to learn on the guitar. Okay, cool. Like, and he started playing again a little bit.
Yeah.
But it just, that was how I got playing guitar. Was it just kind of, oh wait, I still do have time to do this. So I think the desire was always there. I just didn't know it enough to follow it. And that might be what I would tell that younger self. It's just like, you know what, maybe push mom and dad a little harder and be like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
But or tell my younger self, like, you want to do this.
Yeah. I think if I was to go back, I would probably tell myself not to be as shy as I was about it. Because I had that moment where like I thought that I could sing, and I kind of had that, like, big head or whatever you say. Like I had that idea that I could sing really well, but at the same time, like I wasn't the one to push myself out there to sing. Or if somebody was like, man, you come here and like sing a song for us, and I'd be like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, even today, if somebody comes up to me and they're like, oh, you're a country singer, can you sing me something? I'll be like, no. Not on the spot, not right now.
Yeah.
I apologize, but I can't do that right now.
I was the same way, actually. Young, I was incredibly shy. The fact that I sang that karaoke at the birthday party was kind of like, if I remember correctly, and this is fuzzy because this is getting back a number of years, but I think I was inside singing this karaoke tune on my own while people were out at the pool. Like the rest of the party was happening out at the pool.
Yeah.
And it was like, I took that opportunity of like, I kind of want to do this, but I don't want anybody seeing me. And I think somebody either came in and heard it and like encouraged me to do it later for everybody else when we got in there doing it. But it was just like, I was very shy growing up. It blows my mind that I get up there in front of people and play music.
It is kind of crazy, eh? When you think about it, you're just like, wow.
I'm sure like people ask that question all the time. They're just like, I don't think I could do that. Like, I don't know how you get up there and do that. And I'm going, I don't know how I get up there and do it.
Because somebody tells me to go at that point, and now I can't back out. So,
and I honestly, it is, again, it comes back to, that's why I've got that in my bio. It comes back to that, it gives me so much joy to help everybody else have a great night. It's like, it's almost this responsibility. Like that's how I get up there and do it. I'm not shy because I'm helping. I'm just kind of cultivating this party. I'm having a party and I'm helping everybody else have fun. And that was it was that big turning point where that, like I said, the campfire kind of example. Like at a certain point, you know, I just didn't get the guitar out in front of friends because I wasn't good enough back then, really. Like I wasn't, my singing wasn't there, my playing wasn't there. And at a certain point, playing at the brass and the experience that gave me got me past that point. And I still held on to that old mentality. I'd go to a party and like I wouldn't take my guitar, or I'd leave it in the truck. And I didn't want to be that guy that like brought it out without being asked to bring it out.
Yeah.
And but then it's like people are just like, oh my God, no, like get it out. Let's hear some singing. And honestly, anytime somebody wants to hear me sing, I'm happy to do it because it's just like I just don't want to push it on people.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to hear it, I'm happy to oblige, because then it's just like I know, like, again, I got into it because I love live music. There was I have this awesome moment. So when I was in university, we used to go see these two guys play live. They were called, I think it was Sloppy Joe's Revenge. And it was two guys that played every Friday night at, oh, wow, the name just completely went out of my head, but it was in Ottawa, one of the bars. I will think of it. Anyways, they played every Friday night there. And one night, my dad and my brother came up to pick me up. I had hockey the next morning, so Friday, dad takes me and my roommate out. My brother was 18. Poor bugger had to stay at my like dorm by himself. I felt bad about that. I mean, to this day, I don't know how we decided to leave him. He must have said it was okay. So we go out to this bar, and my dad just kept buying us pitchers, and me and my friend, like, and my dad. That was the first time I really drank with my dad.
Yeah.
And it was these two guys playing live music, and we just had an unreal night. It's an experience that I will never forget. It was so much fun. And I think it was last summer. No, it wasn't last summer because of the pandemic. It was 2 summers ago. I got to be on the other side of that scenario. And there was literally 2 guys and a dad in the bar at the Brass. And they were just vibing out all night, having a great time. And I got to go over and talk to them. And they said, like, we popped in for just a couple of drinks and we've stayed here all night because we have just had the best time. And I just looked at them like, oh my God, like I was literally you guys,
Yeah.
you know, X number of years ago. I know exactly what that feels like. You don't understand the privilege I feel to be able to facilitate that. It was just one of those awesome moments.
That is incredible. 100% full circle for you.
Yeah. So,
man.
And that's it. I mean, every chance I get, I try and check out live music. It's just sometimes the schedule gets really, really tough to do that.
Only one man, sir. Only one man. So, Scott, we've talked about your past. We talked about your present. Now let's talk about what's next for you, sir. What are we anticipating coming up very shortly for you?
My God. Well, I got 2 songs I have the tracks for, and I'm trying to get the vocals done for them. Again, right now the schedule's just been so crazy. Like the thought, and I've been having those technical issues. The thought of kind of sitting down in the little spare time that I have to try and figure it out and get it going has been a bit of a barrier, but I'm going to get over it. I'm going to get that done. So I'm going to get 2 songs out.
Can we have a little tidbit on like maybe what they're about, or like, do we have?
I've played a bunch of them live. One of them I played at the Brampton show there opening for the Abrams a couple weeks ago. So it's called Hold On to Me. That's a heavy song. It's got a lot to it. So it was written over a decade ago, and it was family friends of ours had both their teenage daughters lost in a car accident. And at the ceremony, the pastor made a statement that, you know, oftentimes people will say, oh, it's all part of the plan, and, you know, this is supposed to comfort people. And she said, I don't believe that. She said, I believe there are still accidents. That telling people that it's part of the plan, like how could this be part of the plan? That's so hard to understand and hard to. So she kind of made those comments, and it just resonated with me so much. And that was my like early songwriting, and I wrote it down mostly just to kind of deal with that whole scenario. And never did I ever expect, anybody to hear it. It was one of those things that was just for me. It was just to deal with that. And I almost like felt like it would be insensitive to kind of, share it with anybody else, because whatever I went through was nowhere near what they went through.
Yeah.
But a couple of summers ago, we were at the cottage, and so the family friends, it was my aunt's sister-in-law. So my aunt and her sister-in-law and myself, we were sitting at the fire and talking about kind of how all this stuff was building, like my songs and all that stuff. And they asked me, where do the songs come from? Just, whatever question. But I'd had enough. Like I said, a lot of times it's real experiences or things that you feel, and it's almost just processing your feelings. And then I'd had enough to drink that I kind of just said, back when the girls passed, like I wrote a song about it at the time because it was something heavy to deal with. And of course, like to my horror, both of them go, we'd love to hear that song.
Yeah.
And, I didn't even know if I could find the lyrics to it. It was so long ago. And actually probably thank God, because my guitar, like what I would have put chords and melody to it back then would have been crap. And so that's where like somehow the lyrics, I barely had to change the lyric, which was really cool.
That's wicked.
But basically I found the Word document with the lyrics, and one of the days in the pandemic where I was feeling that little bit more down because, we all dealt with not being able to do everything you wanted and isolation and all of that stuff. And, at the time I was living alone. So it just like, there were a couple of times, couple of days that just, there was some, you wouldn't call it depression. I think actually I saw an article that called it languishing, and explained like that's the feeling. So you're kind of in that middle of that spectrum. You're not depression, but you're not happy, and you're just kind of, you're at this plateau and you can't move forward.
Yeah,
so
you're kind of like in limbo.
I was down, and I thought, you know what? While I'm in this mood, let's pull up those lyrics and let's see if we can't hit a nerve here. And so I managed to get it to music and get a melody. And like I said, I barely had to change a lyric, maybe a couple lines here and there just to make them flow better in that melody. But I played it for them last summer, and they passed out tissues before I played it. I had played it for my mom, and she thought it was pretty special. I think at that time I had it up a step, and I was really stretching my voice.
Yeah.
I dropped it down kind of. I don't know if I want to give her credit for telling me that that I was stretching a little too far or whatever, but I tried dropping it down, and it definitely was a lot better. So then I played it for my aunt to kind of make sure that for her sister-in-law that it wasn't going to be, and then they got me to play it around the campfire, and it's a special song that way. So that one's one that's coming. I've got a song that it's pretty generic in some ways. Like it's called Feel Good Summer Song.
Feel Good Summer Song. I like that. Because,
all it was just, who doesn't love a feel good summer song? So it's kind of like an ode to that, but it's also, it starts off the line that everybody seems to like in the beginning that I kind of started off with, talks about, throwing in your cardboard cooler. I forget how it happened. It was just a term that one time I tossed a bunch of ice just right into the 2-4 because I was like, I don't have my cooler here. I got to the party. I'm like, I just want them cold. Just toss the ice right in. And I was like, oh, no, don't mind my cardboard cooler. And I was like, alliteration. Like I wrote that down,
That's
and
awesome.
that was part of it. And I used that line, and I co-wrote that one with my buddy down in Brooklyn that I met through a website that I'm a member of for songwriting. Um, so he kind of, when I threw out that line, like I don't think Feel Good Summer Song necessarily fired up his like, yeah, let's write that one. But when I threw out that line and a little bit of melody that I had, he was like, okay, yes, let's do that one.
Oh man, that's
And
wicked.
so that one, I mean, regrettably, I would have released it early summer. But, you know, life happens and you can't really control that. So it's still going to be
even
fun.
with Gonna Get Loud was pushed back a little bit longer than I wanted it to. So it came out at the beginning of August. In hindsight, would I have loved it at the beginning of June or July? Absolutely. But it is what it is. Time can only do so much, right?
And the biggest thing is getting it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, again, you know, so it was going down to that studio in Georgia. So that was a lot more economically feasible for me to just get some music. And like you said, that quality sound, and it can be played in a playlist with anything on radio, and it doesn't sound out of place. That's a huge test right there. As soon as that happens, that's boom. Okay, that's where I need it to be recording quality wise. Then it's just improving songwriting and whatever. But I was a member of Rick Barker. Rick Barker's group there for a little while, and he kind of said, he was like, as an independent artist, just keep putting out music, because you never know when one of them catches the traction you need, and then all of a sudden all the rest of them get traction, because that's all new music to somebody, whether it's from 10 years ago or not. That's new music to somebody.
Well, look at Pumped Up Kicks. I was actually talking about this song, I think, yesterday. Like, Pumped Up Kicks actually came out like 5 years before it actually caught wind.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was like a 2002 release, and like in 2007, 2008 is when, oh, you little kids with the pumped up. Like, I was sitting there listening, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I heard this song a long time ago, but that makes total sense.
I think that's the hardest part about doing this, is it's just getting the music into people's ears. And especially, I mean, the way music works, repetitively, if possible, because I mean, unless you're in the right mood, most people aren't open to hearing new music that they haven't heard before. For one. And then two, it's just like, I understand just as much as most people how busy it is. Like, how many times do you scroll down your feed on social media and you see something, you'd be like, oh, I'd love to listen to that, but maybe you're at work, maybe you're, you know, somewhere where you can't turn sound on, or it's not convenient,
or heaven forbid I just accidentally refresh the damn feed,
or that, and then all of a sudden
it's gone.
Like, there goes that opportunity. You're not going to see that again, and you're not going to come across it again. So I completely understand how people, you know, it's when people take time out of their day to go listen to your stuff, and that means a lot, because I try and do that, and I still have trouble doing it, and I'm doing the thing. So you know, it is one of those things. So I'm not, you know, you don't hold it against people for not discovering your music yet. But it's just, you need that one song. That one song that people can't ignore, and then they discover the rest of them.
100%.
Hopefully anyways.
Well, sir, I don't think you're going to be disappointed anytime soon, because once one of yours hits on that one chart or that one playlist that you need it to, I have a feeling that you're going to have hordes and hordes of people. The girlfriend might get a little pissy and jealous, but
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, and it is, and then that's the other thing. I'm excited. Like, I've got three songs that I kind of want to record that have been written recently. Couple of them co-written. One, so I wrote a song, I kind of almost think of it as My Dick Down in Dallas. It's called LFG, to keep the word out of the title, but the word's in the song.
Fair enough.
And I like when I do I've been doing a Tuesday live stream on Twitch 7 to 9 every week since Johnny got me on Twitch, because it is kind of cool.
It is.
And when my mom tunes in, we've got to be like, Lois, earmuffs for this song. And she worked in corrections. She joked about that actually last week on the stream. It's not that she's never heard the word before, but she just doesn't like hearing it from her baby boy.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm the exact same way. I have that concept where, like, when I'm on stage or when I'm talking in public, it's grandma's watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grandma's watching. I can't say those words.
Yeah. Well, that's and I think we were talking, it was before the podcast, I think. One of the covers that I got doing was Get Low by Little John and the East Side Boys. And I'm sure he envisioned that song with a country twang.
Oh, 100%.
Playing it at the Brass, it first of all, it started as, shock value. It's like, okay, like nobody knows, like they were like, wait, is he playing what I think he's playing?
Wait, what?
And then it came to the point where then people were requesting it. They're just like, no, we need to hear that song. And I still remember the first time that my parents were in at the Brass and somebody requested it. And I'm going, oh no.
Here's the thing. We're about to
I can't play this in front of my mom. And so I tried to mumble all the curse words in the beginning of the song as I was getting through it. And then I'm like, there's too many in the song. Sorry, Mom. Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. No, it was.
I hear you on that.
Oh, skeet. Yeah.
There are certain words that I still won't say, and I don't know why. Like, I'm a 32-year-old man, and at this point, I'm sorry, Mom, but I'm my own individual. But at the same time, like, I can't sing songs about certain things, and I can't speak certain words.
And I
but
had
at the same time, if Mom's
up.
not in the crowd, oh man, I'm a tyrant.
I had somebody come up one night, I think student age, and was just like, your voice is too good to be using language like that, or like, is like, it's just like, okay, you're the one person in this crowd that wasn't singing along. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, you're the DD tonight. Cool, makes sense. Yeah,
but it's such a funny thing, and I mean, I credit my parents with that. I have that same kind of filter, and I'm proud of that. Mm-hmm. So. I used to referee hockey, and you'd get in the dressing room with guys, and basically if anybody was older than me, I couldn't really comfortably curse around them.
Fair enough.
And then it's just like, and then young, kids, you try and kind of keep it from happening around them. Sometimes you forget because you don't see them because they're down here. You're like, oh shoot, there's one right there. And I said, I got it there. I said shoot, because I'd normally be like, oh shit. And then they're like, oh no, shoot. So
when you have kids, sir, that multiplies by 1,000,000.
And I can only imagine. It actually scares me a little bit, the thought of kids, because like I'm gonna want to laugh when they say them, and I'm gonna like, and I know that only encourages it.
Yeah, so you do, but then you get mad at your child and at yourself for the reaction you just gave. My daughter the other day said, "What the F?" on something, and it was just because she was super excited about something that Mom was telling her, and she's like, "What the?" And all I heard upstairs was, "Bella, you're not allowed to say that." I was like, "Oh." Yes. And she's like, "Where did you hear that from?" And she's like, "Mommy." And I'm like,
perfect.
It's not me.
That's the right answer. I'm taking you for ice cream.
100%. You can have whatever you want. You can have 12 of whatever you want.
Oh, and I mean, and that's it. It is amazing when kids, when they use those in the right context, they don't fully understand it, but their brains are so cool that they still use it in the right context. They don't know what they're saying, but they've heard it, and they put the two and two together. Like, this is where that word goes. I mean, that word goes anywhere.
When you think about
It's
the psychology of it now, like think about the brain processing that information right there. It's just
oh,
like it's
and
got that one phrase, and it's just like watching the line go by of words, and it's just like there it is. We found it.
Here, we put it in, and then we get laughs. Oh yeah, let's put it in some
Yes.
more.
Oh yes. Save, paste, copy, paste,
Oh,
copy, paste. Oh, man, this has
I
been
love it.
amazing. All right, Scott.
Oh,
Well, if
so
you
much fun.
weren't a fan, I am willing to bet everything I have now that you have just received hundreds of thousands, because you know hundreds of thousands of people listen to this podcast daily. And if you have hundreds of thousands of new fans tonight, where can they follow you up at? Where are your social media handles?
Yep. I think I've done a decent job. I kept everything pretty consistent. So it's at Scott Owen Music. My website is Scott Owen.
Owen. No
Yes.
S.
Yes, kind of like Jake Owen. Not a cousin. It's fun to joke with people sometimes. Like, oh yeah, Jake's my cousin. They're like, really? No.
Wouldn't that
No.
be awesome?
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Life might get a little bit simpler. You might just want to shoot him up.
Yeah, just send you a message. Hey, no, actually, I mean, while we're doing fun facts, Owen's my middle name.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Corcoran's my last name, which people have been messing up spelling and saying all my life.
I would probably call it Cochran.
Yeah, that's probably the most popular one that I get. So it was one of those things. Again, that's where the business school and all of that came in. And even before I started playing out, I somehow made the decision. You know what? I'm going to use my middle name for performing because it's quick and easy to spell for people and whatever. And so yeah.
I really wanted to do that, but some other prick, for lack of a better term, came out with Tim Allen. So I can't use that one. And my other middle name is Henry, so Timothy Allen Henry. I mean, I guess that kind of flows, but sorry everybody, Timothy Allen Henry is now my stage name.
That's hilarious. So my dad's name is Henry, and he was the third in a row. And really? Like my mom was the one that's just like, nope.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to be Henry. But I could have had a stage name of Hank Owen.
Okay. All right.
That might have come with too much pressure.
All right.
But anyways, no, it's scottowenmusic.com or at scottowenmusic. I'm on Facebook and Instagram are kind of my two most active.
On Twitch,
I hop on Twitter every once in a while, and then Twitch is new. I do a live stream every Tuesday night. It's basically an acoustic, all request. We just hang out. We get interactive in the chat. It's actually been a ton of fun. We haven't had a ton of people on at once, but like the people that are there for it, and they're interactive and they're requesting songs. They've been amazing, and we've had a lot of fun. And hopefully, it'll just eventually keep growing. I mean, Twitch is still, especially on the music side, is still fairly new.
Yeah.
And, you think, oh, another thing that I've got to sign up for and whatever, but it's free, and it's fairly pain-free to sign up for. Really, and then I started posting on YouTube cover videos where I do, so that's this like setup behind me here. Couch covers. And
yeah, buddy.
Basically, I do the cover, and then I do a quick and dirty, this is how I play this one. Little bit of a lesson on it. And I've only got, I think, 3 posted, and I've got 1 in the tank, but like the time to cut it all together, to sit down and record them, all of that stuff. So I started it, I think, just before things opened up down here in Southern Ontario. And I think I was trying to do it once a week, and I think I've gone a good probably 5-6 weeks without posting another one. But
yeah,
they're coming.
That's kind of what happened to the podcast too. When stage 3 opened up, literally the doors flooded with messages, and it's like, hey, you want to play a show here? You want to play a show here? Want to do something here? Want to do something here? And by the way, I also have a job that I have to, support and pay bills right now. So, that's literally what happened. And then it came down to also I wasn't the only artist that was busy as heck. So
Yeah.
if I don't have an artist to chat with this week, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. We're having an off week, and we can continue on later.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah, but no, like this has been absolutely incredible. I am super excited that I got Ruff. Get down. God, gotta love the blooper reel when the cat pops in.
It's like the cat knows that you're trying to do something and goes, "Oh, you know what? This might be the time that I want some attention."
See, here's the funny fact. So this cat has been upstairs, and I have so I'm in the basement right now, main floor. Upstairs, has been upstairs for the last 3 days since we moved in. Today is the day that he decides that he comes all the way to the basement to jump down here and see what's going on.
Just rub against the mic every once in a while.
Yeah, and he's just chilling down here, not a care in the world. Nothing. Little butthead. That's awesome. Yeah. That's not gonna work. We need to reset up that camera. There we go.
Uh-oh.
Hey, we're back. All right, Scott, thank you so much for taking the time today to have a chat with me. Congrats again on winning an opening for the Abrams. I have no doubt we will be hearing even more incredible tunes coming from you soon, sir. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Honestly, it was my pleasure. I had a blast. This is just too much fun.
Did you know that 2 hours has passed since we started this?
Come on.
Right?
That's when you know you're having fun.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Scott.
All right.
Take care.
It's gonna get loud by a bunch of proud, guitar slinging, whiskey coke drinking. Gonna throw it down, shout out to the crowd. Gonna play the Bruce and Dunn to keep them singing. Bartender, pour up another round. Keep them